What I do, fellas. So today I'm gonna tell you the game changer to help you approach more women. So like I've been saying, it's not easy to do it. You know, you go up to her and it's like, I got a man. Sometimes it'd be like, I don't got a man, but let me pretend I'm picking up for a man. So unfortunately, a lot of cases, it happens where a woman is gonna diss you, push you away, and it's like, why should you ever approach? And why do you think approaching would work? So it's like, why should you do it again? Why should there be a chance? So overall, approaching, I feel like the discouragement, I don't blame you, but I don't agree with giving up because unfortunately they won't approach you. So let's go ahead and discuss this first thing. And the game changer for approaching is gonna start off with not caring and going into that group of expecting they'll like you. Now, obviously, when you get to the group or when you approach her, if it's not a group, when you just specifically approach her, you still have to have this confidence. You still have to have something. But the whole idea is that when you approach, it's actually 10 times more than just speaking to a girl, right? If you're next to her, if you already know her, those are kind of easier things. But when you approach, especially obviously for the first time, not that you're approaching her again, it comes like, if I do approach her, it comes with it's gonna be an easy no from her end. It's gonna be she's dealing with other men. So a lot of times a game changer is only gonna happen if you know that if you approach her, if you do get the same response, you're gonna react differently. So it's gonna be your confidence once again. But ultimately it's knowing that if you are approaching women, they do have other men approaching them as well. So with them approaching her and then including you, it's like a whole handful. But when you stand out, you'll stand out differently based on not caring once again. So if you're gonna approach women nowadays, when you come up as yourself, you're presenting yourself as, hey, I'm Chad, Daniel, Josh, whoever your name is, Jacob, Nathaniel. You know, we can go on for days when we start with Tyrone and Joshua. It doesn't matter who you are specifically, but when you introduce yourself as if you are this person. So approaching nowadays, a lot of times guys are hesitating. They're scared. They're afraid that if they make this move, they're not good enough because she could get the next guy or get a better guy. Even if that's the case, I'm so sorry to say it, which is true. It is a lot of times the case. It doesn't matter. Even if she could get these other guys as well, she still gets done dirty. So a lot of times you fellas just have to focus. Let me say it again. Focus on what you do, what you can bring. Right? It's not about, well, you know, she looks this good, or there is that chance, or I know she can, or this is her history. When you know yourself as a man that has confidence, once again, high value, sigma, all those type of traits that you should have, characteristics, different types of things that build you up. When you have that going on, when you approach her, listen, fellas, let me say it again. You won't have that holding back, or you won't have kind of like, let me relax, or I can't. You won't have those nerves, or you won't have anxious, sorry to say it like this, anxiousness kicking in, right? You won't have her feeling, or have you feeling like you have to be hesitant or held back. And so when you don't have that going on with her, you make the full approach. The other guys that are Sigma and Alpha and actually get woman's nature, they're not double checking, or they're not second guessing to be exact, of if their actions was correct. Why did I not approach her? Why did I not say hi again? Oh, why was her energy so off where she pushed me away and I didn't make that approach? So it's going to be down to your actions based on her actions, but then it leads to reaction. All right, it's going to become a game changer for you specifically when you have created it to become a game changer with dealing with that specific woman. So now, when I talk about you specific fellas out here, the reason why you keep getting played after you approach a woman is because when you did approach her, you were too nice of a guy. Listen, a lot of alpha guys a lot of alpha guys and sigma guys that are out here, they make their first approach. First of all, you got to most times anyways, because she's not going to approach you. Now, there's other situations that could be different, which is rare. But you got to make that first approach. The outcome, though, is you don't care, like I was saying. But to mention it on how it could work so well and it could be a game changer, you go ahead and take that reaction and you run off with it. So a lot of times you guys will get turned down left and right. And that's the truth of it. I laugh because you have to laugh. If you know, as a fella, unfortunately, you got to approach more women, and chances are women are going to turn you guys down oftentimes, then you got to just be like, dang, if she turned me down, it's her loss. So backtrack. If you don't take it so serious and you get turned down, the game changer is going to apply where she sees that you don't care. You don't care if she wants you. You don't care if you actually approach a woman as you should and she's not interested. So if we backtrack to women, they are always used to, they are always expecting, and they are definitely going to expect more of men to come up to them. So as in, no effort has to come out of her, but if you don't like her, the next guy will. If you're not showing no effort, the next guy will. But the point is, you could be specifically special, and you can also separate yourself from the next guy. No matter what, the next guy can be the next guy. There's always going to be a next guy, because it falls down to basic things of validation, simping, spending money type of things that guys all the time do. But if we talk about you standing out where you do have, and I didn't even get into purpose, value, as I normally do, as I love to talk about. But when you do have the things to back it up, but you fall into the confidence and the trait of you don't care if she doesn't like you, you make that first approach, you make that full approach with no regrets, no hesitating, without no, you know what, if it goes this way, you'll feel away. If you go about it that way, then when you have everything else to back it up, you become top notch. You become top tier, as girls love to say. And so a fella can do this. A man can do this the same way a woman is doing it. But also you're doing it to understand that even though you have to put that effort in more than women, you know that even if it does go this way, you're going to be able to back it up. You're going to be able to bounce off of it or move on. You know, you could choose to not feel away, right? Or you could choose to feel away, but only behind closed doors, right? So it's basically ultimately back to a man that's powerful, a man that has control and can make his own decisions or know his emotions enough to know certain situations, certain circumstances. He doesn't have to react to it or feel a way about it the way another man that is obsessing or loving or wanting more of her. So you instantly, I was going to say another word. I was going to say more of like, I won't get into that, but you instantly kind of like separate yourself from other competition or other guys out there. Not that you're in competition or you're competing, obviously, with other men, but in a woman's perspective, a woman's mind, when there's other guys that are trying to get her attention, you're in that space. You're not competing as in you care to win her over. You're putting effort because you got to her. This is how it goes, but you also have this and all these type of things. But overall, once again, fellas, you're doing it because it makes sense, but not because of her. Not because you have to. Not because you're going to be the one to try and do the most to get her. All right. So if you want the power of approaching to work, once again, fellas, it's a working because you went and fully shown yourself to be who you are. Obviously, I could talk about, okay, when you're approaching this woman, obviously don't say these type of things. If she's around her friend or a group of friends, don't just talk to her specifically and don't give her all full attention. But you see, I tell you guys, this stuff naturally will start coming out once you're so invested in about yourself. Because even if you're in a group of friends or you're with her and her best friend, you're going to start entertaining or dealing with things that you choose to. So ultimately, fellas, once again, because we are at the end, you make decisions and choices because it makes sense for your sake, because it's going to get you her. You can consider a woman's feelings and all these things, but don't let it drive you to make decisions that are like, let me say it like this, clueless or basically based on just your emotions. So with those decisions, you're not thinking with your mind, but instead with your heart. And it's allowing you to, let me give her more attention. Let me give a conversation or try to make this conversation happen. Can I take a breath? A lot of times she's ending these conversations with y'all. So if you read between the lines, read things for what it is. Once again, pay attention to yourself. What's happening with you? You might realize your own energy is changing with her. Excuse me. Your own energy is changing with her because she's not like what you like. She's not like what you expected. She's not like the girl that you had in your mind. So you're always staying true to yourself as a fella. But realistically speaking, if you're about yourself and this woman's not for you, it's naturally supposed to come out where you are going to defend yourself. You're going to be about yourself, right? So a lot of times y'all fellas just get caught up with that woman until she tells you, I don't want no more of you, or I'm going to push you to the side. Until she tells you the red light, no green light, right? And even if you do get a green light, do you really want a green light? But she tells you the red light of beep, 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 stop, stop, stop. And it's like over then and there. And then you start looking like a simp 10 times more. Whether it's just from approaching in the beginning, whether you guys are now together and you're trying to pursue her. However it goes about, you are still trying, and she never gave a single thing. And if she did, it was barely. And if she did, it wasn't worth it. And if she did, it wasn't compared to how much you gave. And that's the difference. So you could be the fella that puts himself in a situation over and over again of being a simp, over and over again of putting effort. You can definitely do that. But the sad part about that is that you're going to always look this way. You're always going to appear this way, right? But also considering you could also make yourself look more valuable, more masculine, more alpha by taking different approaches that I simply named through this video. So get in tune with your feelings and then not allowing your soft side to appear to her and control your decisions that you make with ultimately what you want to do with her. If she's not worth your time, especially in the beginning, okay, you know what? After you wasted your time, don't do it again. Right? So sometimes some of you fellas keep pursuing her when you could have gotten it done and out of the way, or you could have gotten more out of her if you would have stopped. So read between the lines once again, fellas, but definitely understand that you don't have to keep going with her. You don't have to keep pursuing. And last thing, once again, your choices that you make with her, you're doing it because of what you feel like is right. So approaching is necessary. It makes sense to do it. But if it makes sense to do it once and then you don't get the results, but you still think it's potential and you still make that same mistake to approach her again, it doesn't matter no more. Approaching doesn't become approaching. It becomes thirsting. It becomes you're trying too hard. So balance is key. Knowing what you're doing, knowing your worth, knowing her worth, if she's really worth it, is all going to matter, and ultimately come to the conclusion of what you should do next, okay? So I hope you guys got the point of, fellas, bring it back to you. And approaching is important to know what you should do, but also if you should really keep doing it or how you should keep doing it, okay? So I, once again, hope you guys check out all the things that is down below. I really want y'all to check out my Patreon, as in, like, you know, I talk about raw stuff on there, and I talk about a lot of like other things that you guys request, questions that you guys have. And you know, you guys also really want specific types of videos with approaching, how in certain spaces and areas. So all that is on a Patreon. Check it out. And then also I have my website. Y'all check that out, and my other channels, 2 other channels. And that's it. You guys will see me in my next video. Bye, guys.